Well, recording is in progress too, so I guess this is the time to say hi and welcome to Gathering of Lights. We are here today live with Cody Bryce. Yay! And me, of course, the one with all the questions that we are going to dive into today with Cody, because we are talking about the foundation of reality. And as you have explained earlier, it's almost like 4 or 5 laws. Will you just do a short introduction of what we are going to talk about? Because we are going to dive into the second law, everything is here and now. And but foundation of reality.
Yes, yeah. So the foundations of reality, the 4 or 5 laws, it can be 4 if you wanted to shorten it, so to speak, but 5 allows you a little bit more of exactness, so to speak. And if we, just did the 4, we wouldn't be talking about this law because this is the one that you add in. Law number 2, everything is here now. But just a quick summary of each one, or not summary, but just saying them. Law number 1, you exist. Fairly simple. You exist, you have always existed, and you shall always exist. Law number 2, everything is here and now. Law number 3, the all is the one is the all. Okay? Law number 4 is what you put out is what you get back. Okay? So kind of reflective type thing. Law number 5 is everything, the only constant is change, except for the laws. So,
yeah.
Rundown of that.
It sounds so simple when you are talking about them. And I do know that most people feel very comfortable with the 4th law. Everything that you are putting out there is getting back to you. And that is going to be an interesting chat when we are getting there, because we are going to do this every second week now until we have moved through all of these foundational reality laws. But today we are going to talk about everything is here and now.
Yes,
everything is here and now, Cody.
Yes, the true foundation. Yes, yeah. When we talk about foundations of reality, this one definitely is the foundation, so to speak, to where it is talking about the mechanics behind reality, how we actually experience reality itself. This one is a little bit more not technical, but you do have to have a lot of visionary kind of to get it, like imagination to really understand it. You can feel it once you really like sink into yourself. You'll be able to feel it, and that's what a lot of people that have been enlightened or go through that nirvana state, that type of thing. What they're truly feeling is that connection between everything being here and now. It's not just the we are all one thing that is kind of next, so to speak, on that journey. But the first thing they feel is that the senseless, or the timelessness, so to speak. You get this sense that there is no real time. It's just all now. Yeah, the illusion of time, if you will. So yeah, diving a little bit deeper into the mechanics of it, I would say you have to have an understanding of like parallel reality, so to speak. Like having these multiple realities existing all at the same time. And therefore, when you think about it, it is really like you connecting from one parallel reality to the next parallel reality, frame by frame by frame. Therefore, reality is technically static. It's not really moving. You're just changing from frame to frame to create the illusion of movement, change, time, all that type of stuff. But it is all
more or less right, you are like the center of the universe at that moment, because everything is evolving around you.
Yes, yeah, that was going to be one of the examples that I was going to put out, or like the way of feeling it is that you yourself, your consciousness never moves. Everything else around you moves. So if you're walking or something like that, you're not actually walking. Your body's walking, all that type of stuff, but your consciousness is in one spot. The entire universe you create frame by frame by frame makes the illusion that you're moving, you're walking somewhere. but you are stationary. Your consciousness, your being is stationary. You're just shifting from frame to frame to make it look like you're moving.
Interesting. You said it's almost like you, or if you're getting close to a nirvana experience. So I was trying to wrap my head around about how would that feels like. And if I had to have this thought, I probably never have been close to nirvana, not in this life anyway. But yeah, well, I guess everybody can feel the, if you have this imagination, you can experience of, have a vision of what it will look like when you are there. But it's yeah, sorry.
It's different when you actually feel it. You can have the imagination, you can really get your mind wrapped around it in that visionary state, but to actually feel it is something quite different. It's almost overwhelming to your body, and that's why you have the belief systems, the stuff kind of built in, so that you feel it as constant flowing movement, all that type of stuff. You trick your mind into believing that you are moving. It's all one constant thing. There's no real the separation between one moment to the next moment. It's all kind of fluid, so to speak. But that's just the illusion, or the belief that we've kind of made to feel it that way. When you actually feel it, it is like, when I felt it, it was being able to see the kind of static me, the kind of jumpiness of life, if you will. It wasn't as fluid anymore. It was truly like stuttering, After I was like, okay, something's off, it's like I can feel the stuttering of me kind of jumping, type of thing. You're jumping from one reality to the next to create the, movement. And so I could slightly start feeling that jumpiness. And then it kind of got a little bit more intense to where there was people walking around me, and I could see each of their frames one after the other. So it was almost looking like a tracer, like if there's one person, you saw the less faded one that they were just at, to the less faded one, to the less faded, all that stuff. So it kind of fades out, but you could see each of their movements and all the frames. And so it was kind of a fairly it freaks you out at first, definitely. just saying that, like, you think that your entire reality is crumbling around you because you're seeing all the shifts, the jumps, and all that type of stuff all as one thing. Therefore it gets really almost sensory overload.
I'm going to use a very, very bad example right now, but I keep getting these movie sequences in my head about these old movies when people are taking hallucinated drugs, and the camera is viewing everything that they are seeing. They are usually out on a nightclub or whatever, and everything, is fading out in different colors and moving. So I guess that is some way, bad example, but it's some way what
it's
you
very
are.
close. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's almost when you are taking those hallucinatory drugs, you are almost tapping into that energy, that experience of seeing reality not as fluid as you normally do. It kind of gets that jitteriness, and some things will fade in and out, and because it's shifting from one thing to the next thing, and it's not as solid as you make it.
So based on that information, that you are like the center of everything, and every incident or every thing that is happening around you is like a frame or sequence. So when you are there, are you in control of where you want to let your intention go? Let's say that I'm stuck with one frame and I want to move into another reality or another frame. Do I choose that one?
Yes. Yeah, technically you do. You might not be fully conscious of it because we've created those barriers, those belief systems to make it seem so fluid. Therefore, it's not like you're slowing down everything to one frame and then you're like, okay, I want to go to that frame and then go to that frame. It's almost like your higher consciousness is doing that for you, so your consciousness doesn't have to. But it's all based around your core frequency, so the frequency that you're vibrating at. It's the kind of whole your vibration will bring the frames of reality to you. And so if you have a certain frequency going, you will automatically go to those frames that are most relevant or resonant, the ones that resonate with it.
And so that is very important, because that is something that we talked about last time, that you need to be in synchronicity with the frequency to be able to tap into another reality. Because when you talk now, I'm getting also like, if I can choose frames, or change my frequency into another frame, it's like teleporting.
Yes, yeah, and that's literally it. That's what you're somewhat doing. Each frame is static on itself, but your consciousness is basically teleporting from one to the next, and therefore the classic prism, light goes into a prism that shoots out light. You are the consciousness that goes into the solid frame, which would be the prism, and the reality shoots out as light. And so you're basically changing from prism to prism to prism to prism, light, and it's all just kind of projecting out, just like a film strip. You have a film strip, each frame is in there. It's your consciousness is the light that shines through the frame to create the image, to create the sequence. But there are people, and you can do this where you do bigger and bigger jumps between the frames. It's called, the shifting of a frame. And so, but when you do that, you have to be fully in it. You can't half-ass that stuff. Like, not, excuse my language, but you can't just mentally want to go to a certain frame to really jump a few frames. If you do that, you're going to leave part of your consciousness behind, and you're kind of going to go crazy. And a lot of people that have gone crazy in life have accidentally jumped frames when they weren't ready to. Therefore, they kind of lose that connection to the reality that they jumped to. Yeah.
That is kind of interesting. Yeah, this is what you get when you're tuning into these chats we are having with Cody. We are not going to sugarcoat it. We are not going to have a smooth introduction to what we are talking about. We are going to dive right into the hard information here. But when these frames that we are talking about right now, so when it will play with the thoughts of almost like teleporting. But since everything is here and now, you are also a multidimensional being, which means that in basic, you could shift into another reality where you are wearing a other avatar costume, so to speak.
Yes,
so,
yeah. If your consciousness is ready to do that, then you can. It would just basically be if it's applicable, or if it's relevant to the journey that you're taking. If it's going to be beneficial to your journey to completely change from one avatar to the next avatar, then you can do that. But if it's not relevant, if it's not needed, if you're doing it just for fun, then you're probably not going to be able to do it, because your higher consciousness would be like, hey, whoa, why are you doing that? It's not needed. That's just for fun. Come on, get back to the program here. Right?
So there's no fun in the Matrix.
It's fun, but it's we have our different types of fun. We might not think that the program that we're watching now, that we're living now, is fun, but when you die, move on, all that type of stuff, and you look back, you're like, oh yeah, so it was fun. I just wasn't perceiving it as fun because of I had different belief systems and filters and all that type of stuff that was making me not appreciate the thing that I was going through, and not experiencing it as fun, as experiencing as work, or that type of thing.
Mm. So every time people are trying to jump some frames just to go ahead, they are actually skipping the things that are in their own program for this reality, which means that they will never pull so many frames ahead, because they will always get pulled back into this and now, taking those frames step by step, most likely.
Yeah, it's most likely like if they were to jump, if they were to like kind of force it, so to speak, it's not like you're gonna all of a sudden jump right back into the frame that you're doing. You're gonna stay in that one. It's just you're gonna lose the connection to that line that you were going on. If you were jumping far enough to make that distinguish. Most of the people that do jump, or like can consciously do it and are effective at it, they're doing it for a good reason, if you will, are going to be jumping frames that are so different from the frame that they're at that you can truly tell that it's different, if you get what I'm saying. It's like they're jumping from, if they're in the movement, like me moving my hand like this, okay, in that movement there's billions and billions of frames. We are literally experiencing billions of frames per second, and so they're only going to be jumping from here to here real quick, and they're just kind of going to lose that movement in between. So it's not going to be that huge of a difference. It's still their hand is still from here to here. They're just kind of skipping the movement between each one, kind of saving time, so to speak.
Yeah, I can almost get it.
Yeah.
I better add almost. But I was also thinking about the word matrix just slipped out of my mouth there. Because it is a matrix, and I started to reflect upon what a lot of people are saying, that we are breaking free from this matrix, and other ones are saying that we are cutting loose from the grid, the earth grid, and moving into another grid. But in the same, when we are saying that we are cutting us free from the matrix or the grid and tapping into a higher frequency grid, there's just another version of the matrix, another version of the grid. So it's not like if you're losing one matrix, you are free from everything, because it is still almost like a program, but in another dimension.
Yeah, it's frequency. Yeah, if you're thinking of a matrix as like the structure of all the frames that you are able to experience, kind of the structure, so to speak, then it's
you
only
just level up, so to speak.
You're just leveling up. So it's all, when we truly say everything is here now, it means all past, all future, all times, all wheres, all that type of stuff. It's all already existed, so to speak. It's all already there. Therefore, you can't make something up. You can't escape something and create something completely new. It's already created. Therefore, you're literally just changing from one, structural matrix, as you say, to another structural matrix. It might not be as confined or, limiting, if you will, but it's just going to be another type that you're playing with. It might be a little bit looser, freer for you to kind of play around with, whereas some matrices might be so solid in their construction that you feel like there's no real play, no real give with it.
Yeah, I get this Super Mario video games in my mind. Everything is there, you're just moving forward, and when you cleared one track, you are finding out some hidden sources and moving up to the next level. I never made it through that, so
yes. Yeah, it is. We are like playing a video game too. It is frame by frame by frame, and you only have certain controls that you can do, so to speak, within the consciousness that you've created, and therefore you play the game in the rules that you've kind of created for yourself, which would be the video game structure, the physics behind it, all that type of stuff is kind of built into that belief system and structure that you wanted to incarnate into. So.
I also got this question, because the first letter we were talking about, somehow it was kind of more easy to wrap your mind around and to integrate. Everything is here is now sounds pretty simple, but when we are talking about it, it pretty much says that we are stuck here until we are moving forward, and yet we are still stuck in the middle. So what is the purpose of everything is here and now? Because everything has a purpose. The evolution and everything that is going around wouldn't exist if it wasn't a purpose for it.
Yes, yeah. Well, it was the way that Source decided to experience one version of itself, if you will. It was kind of like it wants to experience the change, because in a timelessness that Source is and was, if you want to call it that, there's no real feeling of change because it exists. It kind of had all of existence already there, so to speak. It knew everything and all that type of stuff, and therefore it was like, well, I don't experience change anymore. I know everything. I can be everything. There's no true feeling of progression, and so it was like, okay, so I'm going to create all these things to be individual static frames, and then I'm going to have the person that I incarnate as to be kind of forced, if you will, to experience one linear experience of it. It's not going to be jumping and shifting all around, because it can. It's going to be almost like forced to stay on that train track. It's going to be forced on that one path, and that's the linear time that we experience. So it kind of had to do it this way for all of existence to be all of existence, because it had to have all the frames ready for you to shift to. But it didn't want you to be jumping all around. Therefore, it was like, okay, let's keep it on the track. Let's keep it steady, if you will. And like playing a video game, some of the joy of playing a video game is the feeling of progression, of you leveling up, you getting an achievement, that type of thing. Source in that multidimensional experience that it was or is, does not get that feeling of progression, of change, of leveling up. And therefore, having it static, kind of pushing it down to make it linear, gives that feeling of progression and leveling up.
So you can also say that when people here starts to have this yearning of moving forward and then go back to the source, experience themselves as more spiritual beings who and a lot of people, to be honest, a lot of people, when they have these spiritual experiences, they don't want to be here anymore. They want to move forward. So and that can express itself in many different ways. Some people are sharing everything with everyone, and other people feel that they are slightly more chosen ones. But when you are moving, when you have this feeling of, we have all gone through it. We have this feeling of not belonging in this realm, or seeing things differently, and the outside feeling of being outside, and few to talk with, to relate to this experience that ones are going through. So I had a purpose with this question, and because it got lost there. But do you know where I want to go?
I think so. Yeah, to where when they have that experience, they're usually the more connected with the previous experiences that they've had. Therefore, experiences in multidimensionality, the higher dimensions, to where they had that kind of freedom, if you will, of being able to change from frame to frame, kind of erratically, so to speak. There's not the limiting force. And so when people come down here and still have that kind of slight remembrance of it. It's not full remembrance, but they get the feeling that something's not right. I used to be a lot more free than this. This feels really dense. This feels really heavy. Why am I stuck here? All that type of stuff. It's because they're connecting still to that experience of being able to jump from one frame to the next frame to the next frame, and all different types, because they were multidimensional. They didn't have that linear programming that we've kind of created here. And so it does
and
feel
it's kind
very
of
trapped.
pretty good explanation, because I do believe with all my heart that a lot of people on the spiritual journey are experiencing exactly that feeling of feeling almost like you are in shackles here on earth, because someone is taking your breath away. You can't breathe.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes. Yeah. There's a good what was it, kind of saying or title that Bashar has kind of given us for people that experience this dense kind of linear kind of type of experience. And he says, we are the masters of limitation. So we've donned limitations, we donned those shackles because we wanted to master it. We wanted to have something limiting us so much, and yet being able to progress through it, to be able to have serious change through it. And so we're masters of those limitations.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Definitely something to reflect upon, everyone who is listening here now, because that was a good description of what is actually taking place within us. So yeah, and still we are here. Everything is here and now. So even though we are masters of limitation, we are experiencing the divine within the progress of moving forward.
Yes, yeah, it makes it somewhat more meaningful, if you will, if you're in, other. Oh, sorry, notification kind of came up. Okay, sorry. If you were to be in that other dimensional state and you have access to all that stuff, you're almost just one with the divine already. You kind of almost take it for granted, if you will. You kind of get glazed eyes over it, and you're like, "Oh, this is beautiful. This is amazing," that type of stuff, and it kind of becomes just a background type of thing to where it's just always there. Whereas here, you get very dense. You get almost, you forget that divineness, so to speak, and then being able to find it again makes it more meaningful, makes it more beautiful for you, type of thing, because it's like, oh, you get to re-experience something that was maybe boring in a certain way, so to speak, and the other one is kind of always there. You get to rediscover it in a new way that makes it exciting again.
Yeah, life could be exciting, right?
Yes. Yeah. Life could be a dream.
Yeah.
That's something.
So we are going to throw in a meditation, because we have promised that we are going to do a meditation, and we will end this one with a healing too, but we will start with a meditation, and we will do a meditation for every law. So we did one the last time we got together, and we are going to do one today. So you are guiding us through from your heart.
Yes. Yeah. And I had, to kind of prepared to kind of feel out what we're going to do. And I think we're going to go with the kind of faster one, so to speak, to where your imagination kind of has to be quick with it. It's going to be a walkthrough, and you're going to have to imagine stuff pretty quickly, because it's just going to be, you'll kind of see, so to speak.
Yeah, and that is what you started the conversation with, that this law is pretty much about having a imagination, be able to have an imagination. So that is perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
The scene is yours.
All right. Thank you. So, getting in a comfortable position, all that type of stuff, taking deep breaths in, and close your eyes. Now, this is going to be a visual journey. So making sure you're really open with your mind and really seeing things. So we'll start with where you are right now, but maybe in a standing position. you're going to take one step and all of your reality, it changes around you. What do you see? What do you feel? It's stationary. You're not moving. You just took in one step, but everything has changed. Sink into it. Sink into it. Okay, next step. You take one more step. Everything changed again. How do you feel? Is it too much for you, that constant change, or does it feel fun because you get to experience different things every step? Sink into it. Okay, next step. One right after the other. Constant change. From one reality to the next reality. One frame to the next frame. Get to experience it all. Get to feel it all. Sit with it. Next step. Feeling, seeing, experiencing. And next step. Now this one, we're going to sit for a while with. We'd already taken a couple steps now. You get to have that feeling of the rapid change. This one you're going to sit with for a little bit, just to really sink in the experience of this frame being completely different from the one that you started with. Each step, you are a completely different new person, experiencing a new frame. Sit with it. Now, when you're ready to take the next step, it is up to you. I will not guide that next step. You get to feel when it is right for you to shift. And when is it right to change? And that you can have more steps after that if you want to experience the constant change. You can even run if you want, if your imagination can handle it. One step after the other. Change, 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 shift, shift, shift. And by the time that you're here, you're in this current frame, the one that you experienced seems so far away, yet it's only been a couple steps. You are a different being from when you started. You can use this to change your emotional state. If you're feeling anxious, it only takes a few steps, a few frames to become a completely different person. Breathe into that experience of having the power to be able to change your reality within a few frames. When you're ready, you can open your eyes from that visionary state. Come back to the body, to the frame that you're experiencing now. You are aware, here and now.
Wowza. That was fun. That was an experience. I didn't expect that. There was a lot of reflections passing through my mind too, but I can share what I went through, because when it is like always when someone is guiding you, you have this almost like pressure inside that you need to perform some imagine, you know, but I got a pretty strong imagination, so I usually can move past it really quick. So I started to create a frame and was kind of pulled back, and I was entering into a dark stream round a corner and went into a dark room, slightly down like a spiral. And from there, the next frame that you said, I was moving out to a field, an open field with the weed, you know, swaying in the wind and the sky above you. And from there, we went into the next frame, and there was this, what do you call it? The marble stairs. Yeah. Nothing happened there, just the stairs, and then went into over to a beach and into the mountains with these beautiful green trees and leaves. And from there, next was a flight up in the air, flying, feeling like have no limitations at all, just being this almost like a bird, like. Then you were talking about more steps, but I never get past that. I was still enjoying that feeling. So when you said that we could jump through this, because when I went to the dark room and into the field from the beginning, I kind of felt some, not anxiety, but a bit stressed out between these energies and two different frames. So when I was flying and you start talking about, you know, moving between these frames by free will, I went back to the beach and to the field. And when I get down that spiral once again, I started to feel these emotions again, you know, the stress within. So that was kind of fun, because then you said every time you feel like you need to change something, you want to, you know, change an emotion or everything, you can just switch the frame. You didn't say that, but similar. So that was kind of fun, because that was what I experienced between that. Every frame had different emotions connected to that experience and that feeling, and how I do believe that most of us already are using these unconsciously, these frames to, you know, just exist in this reality, because sometimes we need to change ourselves, you know, in different environments. And when you do that, you're changing your way of being around other people or at work. Some people are totally different between work and home, and that is definitely two frames, personality frames, right? So yeah, that was my experience. I feel like sharing that with those who listening here. So yeah, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, well, it was something that I actually used to somewhat do. It's not exactly, but I used to do this type of thing mentally, where if, let's say, I was breathing hard, my heart felt a little racy or something like that, I would, you know, consciously be like, okay, next couple of frames, I'm going to shift from the being that I am to being that is completely calm. And so that frequency, I put out basically the frequency of, I'm already calm. It's already there. I just have to shift to the frame that's already there. And so I breathed into it, and just knowing that it's already there for me. I don't really have to work for it. I'm going to shift to it. My body naturally became calmer and calmer, and became that frame. So.
Now I'm getting another thing in my hand. You see, I don't like to go to dentists. Like many of us, we don't like to go to our dentist. We do it, but we don't like it. So when I'm there, since I was younger, I have tried to just keeping this vision in my hand of me 2 hours later leaving to have left the dentist. And somehow the time that I experienced sitting in the chair at the dentist's office isn't the highlight of the visit. It's the frame of me. Now I'm going to use this frame. It's the frame of me leaving, already done. Everything is perfect, So I never reflected upon that. I always thought like if I pushing my thoughts into a future, I will make this quantum jump. So I will skip those. But that is exactly what you are saying. The frames are like time segments that we are using. Everything is here and now. So it could be like, teleporting, time jumping, skipping frames, moving through dimensions, etc. This is getting big, Cody.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Each of these laws are so simple when you first hear it, but when you dive deep, like we are, it really expands into this whole reality of like, wow, okay, this is actually intense. Yeah, it's really cool. You get to you get a lot of insight with the reality that you're projecting, you're creating around you, which is the laws of creation. You're creating it. This is part of creation. You creating and shifting to each of these frames.
Yeah. I definitely unlocked a new level today.
Yes, exactly.
Super Mario.
Level up.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That was so interesting. Oh yeah, and this is going to trigger a lot of things when I go to sleep. I probably will have a lot of thing to process. My mind usually work like that. And there's the beauty of insights. You always get to see, even if you have some kind of understanding, you always see another level, another side, and another view of the truth. Well, definitely love it. Thank you, Cody.
Okay.
Thank you.
You
So
ready for
yeah,
Crystal?
if you don't want to, if you have something more to say about everything is here and now, is there something that you have left out that you want to share with us, or are you holding information back?
It's maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of it I've kind of put out there, but some of it does get a little even far beyond what I can put into words, if you will. It's yeah. So there might be some things that I'm holding back here, but it's just because I can't formulate them into words.
Well, they will come when we are ready, right?
Yes, exactly.
So are we going to move into the healing part?
Yes, if that's cool with you.
Yes. Definitely.
So I thought today we'd go with the clear crystal sphere.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought this one would be good because it is clear. It's kind of like the consciousness to where it can be anything at any time. It's really good at amplifying just any type of energy you want. You can have different crystals connected with it and it amplifies that, or it can just amplify your true energy within you. So this is just going to be like an amplifier to the thing that you actually want to experience, the healing that you want, or anything like that. So it's going to be a little bit more personal to each person. Yeah, I thought this would be a good representation of everything is here and now.
Perfect. I'm going to unmute myself during this meditation.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
So for anybody that does not know, if you're wanting the crystal healing, all you do is just accept consciously saying, I accept this energy. If you don't, that's fine. It's all good. Right. So I'll start sending the energy now. The energy is completed. Please send me of it.
Thank you, Cody. That was a good energy boost. It almost felt like it somehow was connected to the meditation you did earlier with the frames that you were moving forward or jump between. It was almost like the healing was following these frequencies or these frames. Was that intentionally, or was it just something that happened?
I think it just kind of happened when I was sending the energy. I could feel almost like around me there is this sphere. If you're not, it's not full sphere, it's more like the tunnel that I usually feel like when I'm sending energy. It's a tunnel of energy, and it's depending on how big or short it is how the energy is going to be transmitted. And this one was very big at the very beginning, and it kind of funneled down, and it kind of took steps, if you will. So it was like little boosts or little waves, if you will, and that kind of came down, and then there was one final little push very at the end. So
I love it. That was the intentional guidance from Bashar, probably.
Yeah, Bashar, and the crystal itself, it's conscious of what we're doing, and therefore I was like, oh, it's talking about frames. Okay, let's
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything is divinely put together and is serving a higher good. So I definitely believe that this was not a coincidence, even though it felt like it, but somewhere it was a divine intention behind it all, just to
synchronicity.
Just to get this healing through the meditation, because you can use both of it. It felt very good. Definitely. Thank you, Cody, and thank you, Bashar.
Yes, thank you, Bashar.
Yeah. So this is what we are going to leave you all with for today. But we will get back in 2 weeks, and we are going to dive into law 3. And that is
the all is one, the one is all.
Once again.
Law number 3, the one is all, the all is one.
Yeah. Yes. I'm still in this tunnel of energy, so I'm not going to repeat that, but definitely, and we will put up a new post when we are there, but 2 weeks from now, same time, we're doing that law 3. So that is going to be exciting, because there is a red thread that are weaving everything together. So I can see that this is going to build up to the other laws, because you need to work through them to be able to grasp how to work with the other laws in this physical reality. Reality.
It definitely is.
This is going to be so exciting. Yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you once again, Cody, and thank you everyone who has tuned in or are listening to this replay, live or replay. You will still find that the energy is working for the best.
Yep, energy is multidimensional. It doesn't mean what time or any place. You could be watching this 5 years from now. The energy is still going to go. They're still going to come through.
Because everything is here and now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So see you all in 2 weeks. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.